What's going on, guys and gals? It's 8-Bit Ray from the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and you are listening to the Geek World All-Star Podcast Network.
Basically, anytime somebody needs to find me at work, they say, "Oh, just look for the dragons."
Hey, John, would you like to tame my dragon?
No.
We just got our pre-roll. Cool.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people, right? You want people to care. You want to strike emotions, and I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one.
Quarter pounder with cheese in France, Mickey? What? Royale with cheese, Mickey? Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success? Hey, everyone. You're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host, Dave.
You see the videos on? I'm already not paying attention. And it's John.
I'm JD, and for the first time, we're recording on Zoom.
Mm-hmm. So
yes.
you can all tell us how we sound, or if we do not sound, for that matter.
And the gang's all here for the first time in 3 weeks.
Hey, I had jury duty last week.
Did you get in the hanging?
No. It was a lot of sitting around and then them walking in telling us, okay, we've got our jurors. Goodbye. You're done. So it was literally for 2 days of waiting for nothing.
Usually how it works.
I did hear some really bad stories.
What kind of crime was it? What kind of crime was it?
I don't know. I never got to that point. They were asking questions, but they didn't tell us what it was about.
It's not a lie. No, it said it was a murder.
Oh yeah.
9-year-old murdered his great grandmother for the insurance money. See, you could have had a lot of fun.
Look, I know your books are dark, but you don't have to add the plots to reality for that.
So that's what you've been up to, huh, John?
Yeah, pretty much. Nice segue. Yes. Very good.
How about you, JD? Anything exciting since last week?
My wife and kid are gone for a week, so I've got the whole house to myself. I'm doing nothing but working and working out. It's great. I love life. I've gotten so much done in the last 3 days. It's crazy.
I'm telling you, a little bit longer, and that gets very, very boring.
Oh, I know. Oh, I get it. I miss my kid. Don't get me wrong. I miss my wife too. We had a FaceTime conversation already. Like, that's why it's special. It's like I told her, I said, for a week, this is the best. Longer than a week, and I'm pathetic and lonely. So stay safe.
Yes. Now you know how John and I feel.
Yeah. Try 4 years of it.
My mouth full. I can't talk.
It's also funny how you had just talked about a 9-year-old, killing his mother for the insurance money, and then you said your wife and son were gone. I'm just saying.
I'm not 9.
Oh, well, that's true. Not mentally, maybe.
Maybe. I could see in a few more years Andy plotting something like that. He's pretty devious. He's a shady little bastard.
Nice.
The love we have for our children.
Cool. I love him. He's just shady.
Yeah. No, and that's yeah, and I haven't been up to much either. I was sad. I was saddened this past week, as I think most people in our age range probably were, with the passing of Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, I was going to say about which. It's freaking 2020. There's like 3 of those a week now.
Yes. But I mean, this was like, it was so weird because, like, what was it? Like a few years ago, they said that he had cancer and then he had an operation and he was fine. And then all of a sudden last year, like, they said that the cancer was back and it was like a blip. And then you didn't hear anything. Obviously you kept everything very private. And then the news broke. It was like, oh, well, that
when I was
sucks.
in high school, it was all Rush, Kiss, and Van Halen. That was it. Like that, those were the bands that people were listening throughout, like most of high school, and well, beyond that, obviously. But Like I guess I'm at that age, and Dave, you're pretty much the same, where all these people that you've grown up with, and read stories about and hear about every once in a while, and have like basically formed your entire childhood, are starting to drop off now, and you're kind of like, oh wow, okay, this is what the parents went through back then.
The first concert that I went to with just my friends, like my parents trusted me to go by myself, was Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour.
Wow.
In '92.
Is that one right now?
Yes. Right Now, Pound Cake, Run Around. Yeah, they were the big hits off that album. So
it's a good album.
Yeah. And of course, I was 15 at the time. And of course, my parents shouldn't have trusted me. Me and my friends were all drinking before and after the show. So, hopefully my mom doesn't listen to this podcast. But yeah,
that would make 3 subscribers.
Oh, but yeah. And it's funny too. It's just tough, and it's like, I've been on YouTube a lot lately, and you watch like one tribute video, and now all of a sudden it's like everything that pops up is an Eddie Van Halen thing. And it's like,
that's the algorithm.
Yes. Yeah. But it makes it hard to like, forget about it for a minute.
That's true.
Well, that's because the algorithm doesn't want you to forget. It wants you to wallow in certain things. It wants all of your engagements.
Yes. I don't want to get engaged though. So
not to what Facebook and YouTube are selling. No.
No. Well, speaking of the internet and it being evil and watching everything you do, let's do a little social media madness.
Well, you did say evil, yes.
So John, before we get into this, actually, you weren't here last week,
really?
and we did our top 5 favorite villains of all time from any genre. Didn't just have to be comics. So real quick, why don't you give us like 1 or 2 of your favorite villains of all time?
Your 5 favorite hentai characters.
5 favorite villains? Well,
no
I mean, if I say Tim Curry, that's probably going to fill out all 5.
There you go.
I mean, from The Whale in Monk to Home Alone to, I mean, you name it, and he's probably played it. Even in cartoons. There was that cartoon about. What's that?
He was my number 1.
Yeah.
Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, Pennywise too. There was There was a cartoon. The guy with the cap and the talking owl, but it was the writing on the cartoon. It was like mid 80s, but the writing was awesome. And of course, Tim Curry played the voice of the bad guy. And wow, I mean, he just sells everything he's in.
He was really good in too. Legend. You ever see Legend?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Not that you could tell.
No, but he's awesome in it.
Yeah. And is Frankenfurter a villain?
I would think so. He's at least the antagonist.
Yeah. Wow. He's played a lot of villains.
Because he's got that face where he does really good like bad guy faces and like voices, and he's super, super talented.
Well, Dr. Frankenfurter too.
Dave literally just said that.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was looking for something.
You know what? Doing this on Zoom is better when we can actually look at each other. And I can actually give John the look of what the
yeah. What are you doing? I was doing research and I missed that one little thing that he said. Mighty Max. That was it. That was the cartoon. I was trying to look it up. So Mighty Max. If you ever want to check that out, it holds up just because of the writing.
All right. Let's see what our fans said.
Yeah, what did they say?
SWO Productions said, across all media, probably Dracula.
I said that one too.
Yes, you did.
Did Tim Curry play Dracula?
No, I just said, he probably should have, to be honest. Now that you say that, I'm shocked that he hasn't. But,
I mean, technically, Frankenfurter was kind of, never mind.
He was a Trent, never mind.
Yeah.
Evan the Great TVD.
Yeah, that's my guy. He's the Villains Demand podcast network.
Oh, okay. Going outside the box on this one, I am going with Lord Zed from the Power Rangers.
Seriously? No. No.
Come on, dude. Bring Power Rangers.
God, it's like bringing a water gun to a machine gun fight.
Oh my goodness! I like
or a knife to a gunfight.
That reaction is priceless. It's why I do this. Nerd type thing said Magneto, hands down. When he's being written well, he is a complex character with complex motivations.
Yes, for all three comics where he was written well.
Whoa.
Don, we're sorry.
Yeah. So you have to answer to Don, not me.
That was his number one. So.
Well, you didn't say it was Don. I mean,
well, you know,
it was Don's number one because he's the greatest Marvel villain.
You know, if you actually listened to the podcast when you weren't on it, you would know this.
Is he really the best though? I don't know.
Well, that was Don's number one. So, so then we actually got a response on Facebook this week, and Alan Daniels said, "Awesome show," and I absolutely agree. The Joker is number one, who was my number one. And then someone else from Superhero Speak chimed in and said, JD's list was better.
Nice.
Any of us can control the Facebook account. That's what I learned when responding to that. And when I realized I was responding to Superhero Speak, I was just like, you know what? I'll just edit this conversation. Make it look like Dave wrote it. So.
And then Alan replied, overall, I think JD and Don had better choices going down the list. But number one, Dave nailed it. And I just like hearing that I'm right. Once in a while.
I like Volsker. Well, we'll give Volsker some credit on that.
So there you go. All right. So that's some of our audience's pick for favorite villains. And then
that was a fun show, actually. It was a good call, Dave.
Of course it was fun. I wasn't there.
Oh, don't be that way. Moving on, we of course had talked about John Cena getting his own spin-off for the Suicide Squad, where he will be starring as the Peacemaker.
Yeah, I'm still iffy on this one, man.
And John Tolini said, wow, that outfit is as bad as the 1970s Captain America movie or the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
Yeah. The difference is it's supposed to.
Right. That's one of the things. It's like when you try to go comic accurate, it doesn't translate well all the time.
No, but it doesn't. I think they're steering into that. They got this big jacked up monster in John Cena in this ridiculous 60s era Kirby knockoff outfit. So they're doing like it's James Gunn. He's doing something.
Right.
But
exactly.
What's with the hat? I mean, seriously, what purpose does the hat serve?
That's all I want. Marketability.
Oh, okay.
Like those 60s characters is all about being recognizable immediately.
Yeah. Exactly.
Are you ever gonna forget Peacekeeper now?
Well, no, as much as I would try.
See?
But you're talking like Loki's horns, I guess, then, right? Like,
was that in English? I'm sorry.
Like Loki's horns.
Loki's horns, yes.
Yeah. I mean, the horns that apparently, unless you were an Asgardian, you really could not lift your head up with that helmet on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the thing too, right? Because like if characters who don't have a mask or a cowl or anything like that, you have to do something to make them instantly recognizable, like the helmet, Thor's helmet and hammer.
Nick Fury's patch.
Yeah, Nick Fury's eye patch. So the gray on Reed Richards' temples.
Yes, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Sue Storm is a woman. Am I wrong? That's what they did. They didn't do anything to make her look. She was a blonde woman. That's how they differentiated her.
Oh, hitting them with the truth, man. Oh, the truth.
The truth hurts.
Is that not what they did? Like you knew her because she was a woman.
Well, yeah, Spider Woman. Because
didn't exist till the 70s, late 70s.
Yeah, but I mean, like because of the poses they put her on walls. I mean that's how you recognize her.
Oh God, this is you guys are on fire tonight. Moving on.
Well, we will be when somebody catches up to us.
We had talked about
that's not being sexist. That's being truth to what the era was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And say it was good.
No, yeah, it was not.
We had talked about JD's friend John Wesley Shipp has confirmed he will be returning to the Flash for season 7.
That I'd like to understand how, considering that they wiped out.
Not Jay Garrick.
Jay Garrick's still around.
Yeah, Jay Garrick's still around.
He played 3 different parts on it.
To which Timothy Jones replied, I really like this show, and Shipp, but I think there's been too many speedsters. They need to slow that down.
Boo this man.
Boo!
You know, there's one thing I can rely on every week. It's for Tim Jones to make the most dad joke ever.
Yes.
This is why that's why he's the perfect person to be doing like a 3-strip comic, you know.
Yeah, 3-panel
strip. 3-panel, there you go, 3-panel newspaper strip. Like he's got the perfect sensibilities for it.
Yes.
But boo all the same.
Demon Shadow Walker said, hopefully this brings the CBS Flash back to this season.
Nah, he did.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself.
He dead.
So I think
that would cheapen it.
Yes, exactly. That would cheapen that if they brought him back. And James Champagne said, this one, true and only live action Flash. Fight me. So, yes, that's I agree. I think he is probably the best live action Flash. And see, now that we can see what JD's doing, he didn't hear what we just said.
A puppy had to go outside.
Oh, okay. I'll repeat. James Champagne said, the one true and only live action Flash. Fight me. So you should appreciate that. He's your friend.
I like Grant Gustin, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, Grant is still he's the closest.
I think John will tell you that Grant's the best Flash, but
I mean, John Wesley Shipp is always going to have like a special place in our hearts because like when that came out, it was like, holy crap, the Flash is like live action. And the effects weren't that bad. I mean,
no, just a special place in my heart that I paid him scale.
And then finally, guys, related to the Flash, we got a question from a fan on Twitter. Matthew Meehan asked, Superhero Speak, how many more seasons do you think the Flash will run? I am a big fan of it, but think it might be time to start thinking about bringing it to a close.
Well, he's the Flash, so he's going to run for every season.
You know, I was going to make that joke, and I thought, no, too low for even us. And
not me.
But you brought it home, man. And I gotta say, it was too low.
Tim Jones, I expect a guest spot on Sour Grapes pretty soon.
I don't know. I mean, considering like, if it weren't for COVID, I'd say it could probably go for another 3 seasons, given that the writing hasn't been too bad, and they're using it pretty much as the backbone for the rest of the rest of the episodes or the rest of the shows now. But given that Arrow's gone, but with COVID playing havoc with everything, I don't know how many of them are going to survive for another year. If this goes on for another 6 months or till mid next year without a vaccine, I'm thinking we'll start hearing that they're shutting some of these down.
I don't think so. They're already back to doing stuff. My friend just finished working on Fargo, and they COVID tested every 2 days.
Where are they shooting though?
That was in Chicago.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In Illinois, we're like somewhere in the middle. We're not super strict, but we're not like Florida.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess it depends on where. Like the mid states now are the ones that are the hot spots, but I guess the states
we're right in the middle. We're right in the middle.
Well, I mean Bible Belt middle.
No. The hot spots are like Wisconsin, Indiana, and Iowa. So we're literally right in the middle. But no, I don't know. 7 seasons is a long time to go. The machine has to keep moving, though. They're making Batman, and Robert Pattinson caught the COVID. They're just going to work through it. Like, I'm not saying that's the right way to be. I'm just telling you that's what they're going to do.
Well, don't they shoot some of these in Canada, though?
Well, that's a different thing. Canada's way. I got a buddy in New Brunswick, one of my wrestling buddies, and he was telling me that his province was basically shutting down, and they had like 150 cases in a day. And I rolled my eyes and said, bro, we had 3,000 in Illinois yesterday. Like, it's just it's going to be harder to shoot in Canada than it will be in the U.S.
That's messed up, I think. I mean, well, I get the reasoning. It's just so weird. Like, it's wow. It's just
okay. So back to the question at hand.
Yeah.
There's a question?
Yeah.
So they're going into their 7th season, and right, 7 is long. It is a long time for a show to be on TV anymore.
It's long for any show.
And it's like, and they're trying to cycle out things as well, right? Like they have Superman coming in.
Yeah, but and that might be the death knell, because they could use the as long as the writing is good and that show gets good ratings, they could use that as the backbone for the rest of them.
And that's what I was about to get at. It's like, it also comes down to the writing, because I mean, and then you look at like Supergirl's going away after this season. Batwoman is iffy. Like, who knows what's going to happen with the new actress taking over and all that stuff. I think Legends is a little too out there.
Legends is its own animal. It's like it technically doesn't share the same universe, even though it technically is. Yeah. It's I mean, they can do anything, and it's a slapstick. And then
we've got of course, Arrow is gone. It ended last season, so it's like, like you have the Flash and hopefully Superman and Lois to bring more viewers in, but we'll see. But
that's what I'm saying. When I say backbone, I mean there's one show of this
exactly.
that basically is like the nexus of the other shows.
Right. I agree. I think if Flash goes away, these other shows go away.
Well, like I said, with Superman, if they do well enough in that could serve as the backbone. Right. A lot of the characters could migrate there. The Legends would visit all the time, and they could make that the like glue that holds everything else together.
Super glue. That one's for you, Tim.
He's infected our show this week.
Yes, Mr. Jones has gotten us all. All right. Well, on that note, boys and girls, if you want to know how you can be a part of social media madness, here's our good friend D Square to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of social media madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often, because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Thank you for that, Don. And now, boys and girls, we are going to take our first commercial break of the evening. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, we're back, and now it's time for the news. Starting off, we actually had quite a few previews that came out of New York MetaCon this year. Of course, we weren't there because they didn't have it. But the first one, I think we'll talk about. That's the one I forgot and sent the second email about. That we're probably all excited about. If you're not, John, I don't know what's wrong with you. But Hulu is bringing back the Animaniacs.
I had tears in my eyes watching this. This was
my God,
the closest thing I had to a religious experience.
Whoa! Does your wife know about that?
She's with me. She's drinking the Kool-Aid.
Oh.
We're children of the 90s, man.
That makes sense. Yeah, the Animaniacs, children of the 90s, but the Animaniacs also holds a special place in the hearts of people who were old enough to get a lot of the jokes in the Animaniacs. They had some caricatures of talent there that ran from the 1920s on. So there were some things in there that I got, but only because I used to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning when I was 4 years old and watch black and white stuff in the days before TV actually was all 24 hours, and they would fill like the morning hours with just really old movies and old series. So I can't wait to see this. So
there's this one where they're it was Yakko looks to Wacko's dust for Prince, and Dot picks up Prince. And she goes, no, fingerprints. And she says,
oh yeah,
no, and she drops him. Hilarious.
Yes. There are so many jokes that go way over your head until you're old enough to get them. And you're like, whoa, they did that?
I was 12 or 13, so I got that one, but it was a favorite.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I love the promo, like making it like a Jurassic Park parody. And
beautiful.
Yes.
I hope they bring Slappy back. Slappy was one of my favorites.
Slappy is good. I'll say that their version of Who's on First that they did with the bands is better than the Abbott and Costello one because it's actually based on real bands. Like the Abbott and Costello thing, you have to have like a huge suspension of disbelief to assume an entire team has these names. They're using the names of actual bands.
This is true.
Like, and I know it might be a bit blasphemous, but I'll that's a sword I'm willing to die on. Sword I'm willing to die. Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Hill.
It was the best homage to the Abbott and Costello routine ever.
And then of course the thing they say right near the end of the promo, and Pinky in the Brain.
Yes, of course. You can't do it without Pinky in the Brain. Damn it. People still quote them.
I just showed Andy Pinky in the Brain for the first time, and he needed me to explain in thorough detail what is wrong with these mice. Why are they trying to take over the world? Why is that one's head so big? What does NARF mean? It was a far more in-depth discussion on Pinky in the Brain that I thought was necessary. But he's 4.
That you went over the Tao of NARF.
The Tao of NARF.
The Tao of NARF, right?
NARF. Oh my God. So needless to say, I think we're all looking forward to this return. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Enough.
Speaking of things that are going to be on Hulu, we got our first sneak peek at MODOK, which is a very how do I put this?
Why would you do MODOK?
It's a very not Adult Swim. What's the show I'm thinking of?
Are you thinking of Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
No. The show that's on Adult Swim, with the puppets and the dolls.
Robot Chicken.
It's very Robot Chicken-ish.
It is very Robot Chicken.
Yeah. I don't know. What did what did you watch it, John? What did you think?
I didn't get to watch it.
Oh my goodness! This is why do we pay you?
You don't pay me, dude.
I was gonna say you get paid.
Okay, JD, what did you think?
Not even scale.
Honestly, I think it's a poor man's Robot Chicken. I mean, I like Patton Oswalt and stuff like that. I may check it out, but it just looks like Robot Chicken to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was like a rip off of that in a way, and they're just kind of giving you some lazy jokes, and it's just like,
you know what?
Not what I expected.
I'm watching. You know what? It's actually more like Super Mansion.
I never saw that one.
In fact, I'm looking at this and it looks like they actually used some of the models from Super Mansion.
Possibly.
I'll bet you anything they did that.
I will take your word for it.
Oh, Super Mansion's hysterical. You should see it.
Yes, but that's one of the things.
Bryan Cranston's one of the main characters in it.
Oh, okay.
The thing with Super Mansion is, it's all different characters. It's all its own characters, so you don't have any baggage when you go into it.
True.
Whereas, like with this, if you're a Marvel fan, you know who MODOK and AIM are, and it's just like, it's like, I don't know.
That's how I feel about Lego Star Wars. I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like Lego Star Wars all that much. Lego Batman works because it's not really Batman,
Right.
Lego Star Wars is not as funny, so it doesn't really quite hit as well,
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. We did get another first look at. So everyone knows The Walking Dead. They all know Kirkman for creating it, but he created a superhero comic as well, Invincible. And there's going to be an Invincible cartoon coming out. It doesn't look bad. I don't know.
Do you guys like Invincible? Did you read Invincible?
I think I have the first issue, and that's it.
Okay, hot takes JD here. Invincible is Kirkman's best book.
Really?
What imprint was it?
Image. He did this.
Image? Okay.
Yeah, it just like he did it at the same time as Walking Dead started. Like I think they both started in 03. Like I love this book. I love Invincible. Like I kind of fell out with it probably a few years before it ended, mainly because I would buy the big omnibuses and I just got poor, so I couldn't afford them. But I'm very excited to see this as a cartoon. Like they look like, I believe it was Ryan Otley was the artist on that. I mean, it looks like his designs. Like it looks to be in the spirit of Invincible, and like it's got one of the Invincible has one of the best. Like I think it's the end of the first trade. You find out that his father is evil. That Omni-Man is actually not Superman. He's actually a dark Superman character, and it's a great reveal. And from that point on, it really is it's as good as the early Spider-Mans as far as telling the story of a teen superhero. And unlike Spider-Man, they let him kind of grow up a little bit. And because it's the same creative team the whole time, it really works. And you really get this big picture of Mark Grayson's life from the time he becomes a superhero to becomes a dad himself, and Omni-Man's rehabilitation. And it's really, really good. Like Walking Dead gets all the love from the Kirkman folks, but I think Invincible is the better story, and I'm very excited to watch the show. This one I will watch.
Yeah, no, and I'll definitely check it out, and I'm actually kind of glad they're doing it as a cartoon. I don't know why. It just feels like it works better that way.
Fortune. This cartoon would be an absolute fortune, and it's super. This is my theory, being Robert Kirkman, super violent.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah, we know that
get
they
away
couldn't do that on Amazon in live action. Could
Yeah, but with super. No, it's different. This isn't as like
The Boys.
No, The Boys is kind of like it's mean spirited. I can't think of the word for it right now, but it kind of makes fun of superheroes. Like The Boys makes me feel like I'm stupid for liking superheroes, and that's what all these hot takes are saying. Like, "Oh, The Boys is going to change the way people think about superheroes."
No, it's not.
But that's what these dumbasses that think they're smart are writing about right now. Like it's shit that
Watchmen.
about Alan. Yeah, stuff that people wrote about Alan Moore in '86. But like, whereas Invincible, it doesn't make fun of superheroes. It unabashedly loves superheroes.
Right.
And I don't know if that level of violence with that type of tone would work in a live action series. I think you're right. I think animation gives it some more leeway.
Right. And that's the whole thing, is that I feel like they kind of would sit there and go, you'd see the violence and people would want it to go down that road.
Right. And it's not. I mean, like I said, it's violent, but it's not violent for the sake of violent. It's not, there's no cynicism in Invincible. It's just a superhero story that takes some Robert Kirkman-esque turns. And Mark gets his just thoroughly beaten several times. Like nasty, beaten, and bloody. So I mean, it's going to be, again, it works on Prime for a cartoon. I'm super excited for this one.
Did you watch it, John?
What, the preview?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And are you going to check it out?
Yes, it looks interesting. And I mean, I've got some Image comics downstairs. I wasn't really that into it, but I did get a few issues, and I knew he looked familiar. I just couldn't remember until I asked now. So
this kind of came out in the dark days of Image, those early 2000s, like post Boom, where they weren't doing a lot of great stuff. You know, like Kirkman's work really kind of, I mean, aside from like, your Spawn and your Savage Dragon, like Kirkman's stuff really kind of keeps Image viable. So
I was at a convention when this came out, and when he was there signing, and his banner behind him was Invincible, and he was all excited about it and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure that's why I bought it, so I could get him to sign it. And being honest, and then it was like 2 years later, maybe, I see him at a convention, and everything's Walking Dead. Like, and he's still doing Invincible, but that's the book like everyone was talking about. So yeah, you're right. This got pushed to the side, so that's why I want to check out the cartoon.
He didn't. I mean, like, to be fair, like he didn't treat it like, he never handed it off. Like, I believe Robert Kirkman writes every issue. Like, it just, you got to ride the hot pony, and Walking Dead was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah. All right. This next one was just for you, JD. I know that you've been looking forward to this. The Stand, coming to is it Amazon? No, CBS All Access. What did you think?
I don't really It's funny because I told you how much I loved Randall Flagg.
Uh-huh.
I don't really like The Stand all that much.
That was coming. I had this feeling.
It's not a good ending. The ending is really corny. Like, it's a lot. I don't know. Like, it's not a bad book by any stretch of the imagination. The end really loses me. Like, the hand of God has to come down and catch a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, I mean,
that's how it ends. Like, it's not.
I mean,
yeah, it's not a great ending. Like, it's kind of a cop. And this is against Stephen King in his cocaine years. So I mean, there's some stuff that slips through the cracks. It looks okay. It looks fine. I think Whoopi Goldberg as Mother Abigail's good kid casting. I don't know. I didn't love the 1994 one.
It is one of those things, and we talked about this before. And again, like you said, it goes through that time in Stephen King's life when he was writing stuff like this, and yet it's still held up as like one of the greatest books. And you're right.
It mystifies me.
It's not my favorite of his. I think he's got much better. I really believe it, but it's considered. I mean, probably because it's his first epic work. Like, yeah, or I think it's his fourth novel, and it's 1,000 pages or something like that. I mean, it's like I wouldn't call it high. I mean, I would call it. It starts out as a horror book and then turns into like a post-apocalyptic fantasy story. That's
the amount he was taking more and more cocaine as it went along. Or?
He did take more and more. That is true. A lot of cocaine. I don't know. Like I said, it's not my favorite. I think that the Flagg character is much better used in the Dark Tower books, personally.
Yeah.
But I mean, am I going to see it? No, I don't have CBS All Access, and this doesn't motivate me. I don't really want to watch. And that's the thing too is I don't want to watch a miniseries about a giant global pandemic when we're in the middle of a giant global pandemic.
Yeah, this was kind of timing.
Timing sucks, but but at the same time, like I look at my Amazon charts all the time. Like, pandemic fiction is going through the roof right now. It boggles my mind that people would want to read.
Oh yeah, and the movies too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to read about it, but I mean, I guess some people feel more strength if they can read about fictionalized versions where we beat it or something. I don't know, like.
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It is odd, and you're right. It's one of those things where this is being created to draw people to the channel, and if it's not going to draw a Stephen King fan to the channel,
that's me though. I think most Stephen King fans hold this up as like one of his best works, especially from his early period. Like, I do think it's going to get, because I'm in a Stephen King Facebook group, and there are people there that are excited. There are people that are going to watch. I'm just not going to be one of them. I mean, it's not my favorite story of his. I watched both versions of It over the weekend and loved him. Like, this one, not for me.
All right. Well, I'm not going to get CBS All Access for this either. So
yeah, there's not a big seller for CBS Access.
So we're going to ask any of our fans out there who have CBS All Access, when it comes out, let us know what you think, and maybe copy it for us. I mean,
how do you do that in this day and age?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You get a splitter and then okay.
So this last preview that I brought up, it's something that's been being talked about for a while, but it kind of flew under my radar, which I'm shocked. And I was invited to a press panel on Saturday for the New York Metacon with the cast of Death in the Family, Batman Death in the Family, that comes out Tuesday. So it'll be yesterday as you're listening to this. And what's interesting about it is it's the same voice cast as Under the Red Hood, which came out, what was it, 5 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
And but this one, they're doing something different. It's a choose your own adventure style movie. So you get to make choices like, does Robin die? Does Robin escape his own death, or does Batman save him? And then the story progresses based on the choices you make while you're watching it.
Just like the original comic gave people the choice between whether he should live or die. Not having been introduced to the internet age where we know what a general populace is always going to choose when given a choice, which is basically the most nihilistic choice you can give, and then times it by cancer. So,
well, there is some interesting controversy around that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard this from a couple people. Like, they had a phone-in poll where you called and you chose if Jason Todd lived or died. However, there's never been any art revealed of him living.
No, I think there is. I think that's incorrect. I think I'm almost positive there's at least I think I've seen, because it was Jim Aparo, right, that drew it.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Keep talking. I'm going to Google.
So okay, but anyway, it's interesting. It's kind of like combining the idea of video games and entertainment. And this has been done a couple things in the past. I've seen, like you can, while you're watching it, make choices and stuff. But I don't know if I want to put the commitment into watching something like that. Like, I want to just watch a movie.
I agree with you. I think this is why choose your own adventure stories never quite have the appeal that never have the appeal that people think they do.
Okay.
There was on Netflix though. There was a Black Mirror episode, right? Or a Black Mirror.
Was it Black Mirror?
That was letting you choose your own. It was a couple of years back. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it was. It had a weird name to it. Yeah, there was one that did it.
But what was interesting is, like, because when I was at the panel, the cast was talking and the producer was talking about the work that went into making this. Having to figure out all the choices and how they intertwine, and then having to record the same dialogue but with different reactions, tones and whatnot, over and over again. So it took a really long time to put this together. And it just kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, but is it really going to be worth it in the end?
Well, for, I don't know. I used to get all the Choose Your Own Adventure books way back in the day. That it was an actual series of books, mostly from Dungeons and Dragons. And they were interesting, but the novelty wears off pretty quick. So I think like this may do okay, and they may come out with more, but like the original 3D movies back in the day with the red and blue glasses, it may be more of a, what is it? It's just a niche.
Dave, check the chat. Dave, check the chat.
It's not gonna, it won't last long, because my first thought when I read this was exactly what you thought, Dave, which is basically when I sit down to watch a movie, I'm sitting down to watch a movie.
Right.
I don't want to sit there and then have to decide stuff. I'm usually sitting down to relax, not to agonize over, should I kill Robin or shouldn't I kill Robin?
Watching a movie or reading a book it's a passive experience.
Right.
You're along for the ride. It's not an active experience, typically. It can be, but it's never ever been as successful.
Right.
So I'm not going to see this movie, but that's,
I'm going to get it. Well, let's see. It'll be on Blu-ray, right?
Oh my God.
No. What?
The look on his face is so cheesy.
Oh, I know. It's terrible. I'm really glad I never got to see the light of day.
Oh my God. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That might be the artwork for this week. Anyway,
I'm going to get it just to continue because I have basically every animated movie that DC's put out.
Yeah, no, and I probably will end up watching it just to kind of experience it, but
right.
But I don't know if I'm going to want to watch it over and over again and try all the different paths. It's not like, like if I want to play a video game, I want to play a video game. If I want to watch a movie, I want to watch a movie.
And if you're watching something on Blu-ray, the whole point of Blu-ray is you don't have to wait for it to buffer.
Yeah.
So you make a decision. Okay, gotta go load that section. It's like I could do that on the internet.
Yep. All right. So I probably will check it out. I'm sure you will, John. How about you, JD?
He said he wasn't interested, I guess.
Yeah. He got quiet. I wonder if he can hear.
Hit the Siri button, and Siri took over. It shut me out.
I'm sorry, Siri was not invited to this podcast.
It's the way it happened. I imagine this is what my death will be like. We'll just kind of stop.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Dark.
Yes. This took another dark turn.
That's what I do.
Yes. All right.
Speaking of dark, Natalie Portman. No.
Speaking of dark turns,
my old friend.
We're going to take another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
I've come to talk to you again.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, continuing on with the news. And
Gotta hurry up. We've still got a review to do.
Yes. So Natalie Portman confirms ? Jane Foster's storyline in Love and Thunder. So she basically said in an interview that she had to read a Thor graphic novel where Jane had cancer to get ready for the part, which made me go, God damn it! She's never read Unworthy Thor or any of that stuff.
Why would she? Like she's going to read the Jason Aaron stuff and everything from then.
Yeah, I know.
She's not a comic fan.
I know. Hold on. And then Taika Waititi came out and was like, yeah, we'll be taking elements from that storyline where with the cancer and her becoming Thor and all that. But he's like, we're not necessarily following that storyline to its fullest, so he kind of like non-committally said she might not have cancer. She may have cancer, so we'll see. Do you think they should, Marvel does, again, that's what he said too. Here at Marvel, we change things, so do you think they should have a strict adherence to that story? I don't think they will.
I don't think they should. It's about adaptation. If it's the exact same, just read the book.
Yeah, and we know what the exact same gets you. It gets you bat booty. Like when they did the Killing Joke.
Oh God. Well, no, that's not exact same. That
didn't happen. No, that's the exact opposite of what that's the reason not to do what I just said.
Well, no, if they do exact same, it's usually not enough to fill out an entire movie. So.
Oh, well.
Also true. But I mean, this is different. This wasn't just one story. This was a couple year story arc. And I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see what they can do with it. And Taika Waititi's pretty creative. Like he incorporated Planet Hulk really well into Ragnarok.
Yeah. You don't think Portman's taking it because like part of the contract is that she dies at the end, right? Like she's only doing a one-off? Because she was vacant from the last few. Missing from the
That's
last
because they fired Patty Jenkins, who she recommended, and she was PO.
Yeah.
Owed about that. But they're giving her something to chew on. Like she gets to be a real hero now instead of just like, the girl.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think she'll enjoy that. And then who knows? I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how this is going to work because it's.
And this Thor Jane Foster relationship is a lot different than the comic book.
Yes, that's what
Jane Foster. So it can't be the same. It has to be different.
Well, they broke up, so.
But she wasn't even really with Thor. She was really with Don Blake, who doesn't exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In the cinematic universe, she was shunted off like in the first Avengers movie, and then like later on, it's mentioned, it broke up, and. So
yeah, because she didn't want to. I mean, like you have to do something when they don't want to come to work. So
and that's
different.
I don't know. I don't.
So where's the love then?
And then in the first Thor movies, they show her as a scientist who's like investigating, strange things going on. That's how she ends up meeting Thor. And then it kind of felt like they started down that path in the second one, and then she became, the female. And these movies, the secondary character,
which was sad because it's Natalie Portman,
and that's what she didn't want. Hence her leaving.
Exactly, So it's like, so I don't know. Is it going to feel uneven? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Thor 3 is such a departure from Thor 2.
Right. Exactly.
I imagine departure.
Oh, it's a great departure. It's one of the best sequels probably in that whole universe. But, it just goes to show they can throw everything out the window from the first one and it's almost like a new run in a comic, like when new artists, new writer come in, it's the same characters, but it's a different interpretation. So this kind of feels the same way to me. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. Like I said, I didn't love when Jane Foster was Thor, but I don't know. Let's see what they can do with it.
All right. I think we all have the same attitude. We're curious and cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic, yes.
Yes.
They haven't given us much reason to doubt them.
No. However, apparently, Spider-Man needs a mentor in the MCU. So it's now been confirmed, on top of Jamie Foxx returning as Electro, that Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch will be appearing in Spider-Man 3, and they've said that he'll be in a mentor role for Spider-Man in the movie, which
that makes sense.
Not a fan.
Yeah, it's. I don't like it in the comics when Tony became a mentor to Spider-Man. Why would I like it in the movies? And they lean so heavily on it, and now
I don't know that they're leaning completely heavily on it. It made things a lot more interesting. The interaction and the and some of the drive to the plot line in the movies is good. I don't see it being a detriment here.
I don't think it's necessary. Like, it doesn't. That's part of Peter Parker's charm is that he really doesn't have a mentor. He kind of f's up a lot,
right?
And I don't want him to bounce around because they just.
Well, maybe they wean him off of it. Like, this is the last one, and if they go, they do another. They've got him for another MCU movie, so then he's on his own.
They wean him off on it. I like.
Well, I mean, they're still portraying, like, what is he, 26 now? They're still playing him as a teenager.
High school?
Yeah, high school. So, like, they're going to have to do something about that, and quickly. With Tony gone, it's still you can't just have him start going on his own. Somebody, psychologically speaking, somebody in that position would still be looking.
Oh, wait a second! You're telling me the character whose entire arc is based on the fact that his father figure died and he could stop it cannot go off on his own without mentorship.
Well, he can, but the way they're playing it in the MCU, he's still a little bit reliant on that,
Yeah,
I
think
not reliant on it. I mean, he's looking for validation, so he's not exactly relying on it.
I get the looking for validation thing, and that's all it is. It was just an extended cameo from Stephen Strange. I'm okay if he's in like every other scene and Peter has to whine to him. Oh, Doctor Strange, why can't? I mean, like. It's just not what I want to see from a Spider-Man movie.
Well, they didn't do that with Homecoming. With
they did not. So if it's something like this, I'm okay. But you tell me you start throwing on the words mentor figure, I'm like, I'm not interested because what is Stephen Strange? How can Stephen Strange mentor Peter Parker?
And of course, the other aspect of this that we haven't hit on is this has led to the wild speculation that
Madam Web.
This is going to be the introduction of Spider-Verse into the MCU.
Well, there certainly seems to be a lot of evidence to support that.
Oh. Do you care to elaborate on that?
You ever see that meme where it's all like the guy from It's Always Sunny with the
yes.
stuff? Yes, that's what we're about to get right now. So, what is the next Doctor Strange movie?
Multiverse of Madness.
Thank you. Who was just recently cast as a villain for this next Spider-Man movie?
Jamie Foxx as Electro.
Done.
That's it? That's all of your evidence.
I built it up really big so I could come crashing down.
Yeah.
I'm all about disappointments. You should read my books.
Well, with Jamie Foxx, I mean, he has so much ability, and that was...
Oh, it was terrible.
That was the writing, though.
It was smart writing, direction, but that's the thing, though, is like, so you tell me that we're going to bring Jamie Foxx in to play Electro. And by the way, Doctor Strange, who happens to be in a movie called Multiverse of Madness, is just going to be in this story.
Well, and considering also, like, he also play a part in, or was it the WandaVision? That plays into...
She's going to play a part in Multiverse of Madness.
Right. So, like, you've got all of these reality warpers here, and you've got a multiverse. So, of course.
And there's a lot of people clamoring for Miles Morales. And there's been a lot of rumors of, you'll get the 3 Spider-Mans. So, I think this all kind of...
Oh my God. God.
What?
No, it's just, you said it's the 3 Spider-Men. It's like, it's reminding me that's kind of a trope with Doctor Who. Like,
oh yes, like the 3 doctors,
the 3 doctors, the 5 doctors, the 2 doctors. Yeah, they've had where they take the actors who played the Doctor previously, and so like the 3 Spider-Men, that would be awesome.
So real quick, like here are just some headlines that I have been seeing. Okay, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield rumored to join Tom Holland for Spider-Man 3.
Source,
the Hyper Beast.
Oh, the reputable source. Continue.
Could Spider-Man 3 adapt controversial one more day storyline from comics.
Well, F did that come from?
That is the Wrap.
Why would you make? Oh, that's actually a decent website. Why would they make that? Where would that? Huh?
Spider-Man art argues the Amazing Spider-Man's Black Cat should come over to the MCU. That's from Screen Rant. This is one I saw the other day. I forgot. Spider-Man 3 fans want Vincent D'Onofrio to return as Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. Kingpin.
And that I can get on board with.
Tobey Maguire reportedly has had talks about Spider-Man 3 role. So, like, it's everywhere. It's not just, fans talking online. Like, these are actual sites saying that, we're possibly getting Spider-Verse without any hard evidence, just, rumors about people talking. And, of course, the other argument, well, if Sam Raimi's coming in to do the Doctor Strange movie, maybe he's talking to Tobey Maguire to come back.
Maybe they can get Nicholas Hammond too.
Oh my God, how old is he? That was the 70s, John.
I can't hear you, JD. JD, can't hear you.
I was on mute because my dog started crying. He's got to be in his 60s.
Yeah.
So old Spider-Man, just like you have old Hulk. Or what is it?
Old Wolverine.
Like, old man Wolverine.
It is interesting that Sam Raimi is directing the new Doctor Strange movie, and Doctor Strange is now going to be in the Spider-Man movie.
Yep. So
it wouldn't surprise me if we're getting some multiversal stuff because they hinted at it. They teased it in Homecoming.
Yeah. Oh, I know, and they played around with the idea of Endgame with time travel splintering off other realities.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God.
Which of course brings in the mutants. So yeah, the whole thing's all tied together.
And look, as nerds, we love the idea, but I don't know if the normies are going to jump on this. So
they jumped on to every other nerdy thing we've thrown at them.
Yeah, basically.
We love the Guardians. It's true, we are in charge. We tell you what's cool. They like the Guardians of the Galaxy. At that point, it's like, oh, okay, it's all gravy from here.
At that point, we could do whatever we want.
Pretty much. We sold them a raccoon.
They accepted time travel in Endgame. I get it.
Dude, I think it's more amazing they accepted a talking tree.
and it became a meme and an icon.
Yeah, it's an icon. Like people love. Everybody knows Groot. I am Groot. Oh, yeah. It used to be if you walk around saying I am Groot, 80% of comic fans would be like, "What are you talking about?" Like, that was like a good 6 years ago. Now, everybody's like, "Oh, I am Groot." I know that. Like,
oh, baby dancing twig. Right?
Yeah, baby twig. Exactly. So, like, we're in charge now.
Speaking of people that are in charge, Patty Jenkins has gone out on record to say Wonder Woman 84 will not go video on demand. And this is in response to there have been countless articles like, oh, well, they haven't been talking about Wonder Woman, so they must be planning to put it on VOD. And as we've been talking about on this show, is that's a tentpole movie that they can't just, lose money on.
And this comes on the heels of, I don't know if you guys talked about this last week. All of Regal Cinemas is shutting down in the U.S.
Yes. With the caveat, people seem to keep forgetting is that they said it's temporary.
Right.
They don't know for how long, and it makes sense because it's expensive to keep them open without any movies for them to make money on. I don't blame them. I mean, unfortunately, 28,000 people are going to lose their jobs. But what are you going to do? If the movie companies are too afraid to put movies out because people can't go to them or people aren't going to them, then and they're not making money, then the theaters can't make any money. So, yeah. So I'm guessing we're going to see like summer next year. This will be the next announcement about Wonder Woman. What do you think?
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, it all makes sense.
I mean, by then we'll have like 2 vaccines the way things are going, hopefully.
Good.
And then, people go back. I mean, I'll definitely go back to the movies as soon as I get a vaccine.
There's people going to them now that are going to stuff now.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in the movie theater with a mask on and, wonder. It's not what I want to do right now. So I get all of it. Like, it all makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason people are going now is because you're at that very careful balance of, hey, I can go to a theater and it'd be me and 2 other people and that's it. And that feels safe. But if you start to get a, mass of people starting to go, then they back off again. It's so closing them down.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, even if the vaccine comes out tomorrow, let's say, and
it'll take a while for everybody to get
6 months.
But even and so let's just say by the end of the year, everyone who wants it gets it. I still think people are going to be afraid even after getting the vaccine.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I think there's going to be it's going to be a slower recovery, a slower back to normal than I think people are ready for.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
like, some people are going to go all in. Some people are going all in right now. But I think it's going to be slow waves. Like, there's going to be people that never go to movies again. Not just because they're afraid, but because they're like, hey, I'd rather just watch it at home.
Yeah, that's true. I think things are going to change. We'll see how.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of watching stuff at home and video on demand and things like Netflix, so we had talked about the Miller World had been bought up by Netflix, and they were going to make a bunch of series based on his books. And the first one was going to be The Magic Order, and that has been canceled before production has even begun.
Did they actually read them?
Hot Mark Miller take.
Not a Mark Miller fan.
I know. We've discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War was the breaking point.
Kick ass.
Yeah, this is true. Yuck. I mean,
how can you not like Kick Ass?
It was kind of stupid.
Oh, geez, you guys are wrong.
No,
I love Kick Ass.
It was really, really kind of stupid.
No.
The only good thing that came out of it was Chloe Grace Moretz's, career after that.
Did you read the comic? No, you didn't. So stop.
See, I'll take JD's word on this because I mean,
he's got an axe to grind with Miller for some reason. So yeah, no. So of course,
he's got beef with my boy Grant Morrison. So we got bad blood.
I knew it had something to do with that. Yeah. So apparently they had cited, of course, concerns because of COVID and other issues, but apparently there's people are talking about, I don't know if you guys have seen, apparently Netflix has lost a bunch of money this quarter. They've lost a bunch of subscribers.
Really?
Not that they normally don't really give those numbers out.
Well, we won't go into it, but there's been a controversy with Netflix over the last couple months that I don't care to talk about, but it has apparently they've lost more subscribers in the last month than they have over the last 5 years.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I don't know how that affects them going forward, but I mean, if they were all gung ho into making these Miller stories, and then now they're pulling out.
They say it was because of lack of new content, which makes sense considering we're in the midst of the streaming wars and everybody's pulling their stuff off of Netflix to start their own streaming service. And, of course, that's going to hurt Netflix, which is where people used to go to get all the new stuff.
Yeah, but then that doesn't make sense because if the problem is new content, then why would they not make this new content?
Well, that makes perfect sense. If you're losing all your subscribers, where's your money coming from?
Yeah, that's the issue, right?
Well, it might be because they just want to make good stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a two-edged sword to that. It's so now we're 9 months in, and most production has stopped, so they haven't been able to put out as much content as they probably would have liked. So that's probably affecting them too.
Yeah.
Animation is ramping up though. That's one
animation is different.
Yeah. I mean, it took a hit for a little bit there, but because it can all be done remotely, and even though you're working in a large group, there's a ton of animation that's coming out, and Netflix has actually been buying up a lot of stuff. Inuyasha is one that just came to Netflix, and that's a huge one for the anime community. So
that's smart on their part. Then, if they want to go more hog on anime.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a subset. It's not a huge audience, but it's a very loyal audience.
Well,
and they're going to get views.
Not just that, but I mean, if they're buying up more stuff in general,
they are.
Yeah,
they are.
to try to get some of the what's the anime Rooster Teeth? Is that the
Rooster Teeth and Crunchyroll?
Yeah.
Crunchyroll's the big one. Rooster Teeth not so much. But they've also been putting out a whole bunch of their own anime too. Some of it good, some of it bad. But I guess that makes it even weirder for them to even if this wasn't really good material that they wouldn't put it out anyway.
All I know is I hope Netflix doesn't go away, because then I don't know how I'm going to watch the Great British Baking Show.
Netflix isn't going. It's going to lose subscribers for a little bit, because again, we're in the midst of the streaming wars. Until the streaming wars calms down.
And there's a pandemic going on where people have lost their jobs.
Yeah, so we're going to have a sea change for a year or two at least, and then things will even out. We'll start to see who's going to survive. I think Netflix will survive. I mean, they saw this coming. That's why they started putting out their own animation and putting out their own series and all that. Amazon saw the same thing. HBO's always put out their own, but yeah.
Hey, sorry.
We shall see. And on that note, we'll take a quick commercial break. Our last one, I promise, and we'll be right back with our main topic of the week.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right, boys and girls.
Nice.
Keeping with our October Halloween theme,
we're giving you the full feel of what is this again? Zoom meeting with the background noise of my cat climbing the tree and his dog barking. And
my dogs are fighting each other. They're both 14 and they've just had it with each other. They've been together their whole lives. They were together before we even got them, and they're so tired of each other's bullshit.
You should give them a microphone. Then they sound like the perfect
podcasters.
To
Dogcasters. Genius.
All right. Keeping with our Halloween October theme, of course, we had to talk about this comic. It is 1996, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, Batman, The Long Halloween. So let's all go around the room and talk about the first time that we read this book. And we'll start with John, because apparently this weekend is the first time that you've read this book.
I remember back into the halcyon days of 3 hours ago.
You seriously never read this before?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Fake geek. Fake nerd.
I can't. Hey, my geekdom covers so many different genres. I can't.
You were a girl, there'd be multiple Twitter threads about how
I am a jack of all trades. Well, I'm a jack of all geeks, basically.
Making fun of comics kids. I'm not embracing them, by the way.
No, of course not. Sorry. But yes. Wait, I don't know, Dave. I'd have to remember back 3 hours ago, and for me, that's really hard. But I had heard about it before, in passing, never really crossed my radar. Between Dungeons and Dragons and anime and Wizards of the Coast and all the different card games and everything, I guess sometimes things slip through the cracks. So it's I don't know. You want me to tell you how I thought of it just initially? It's probably one of the best things I've ever read. I'll give it right there.
And it took you a really long time to find it. You had to be forced to read it, actually.
Well,
sometimes that happens. Sometimes you stumble onto something that you really like on accident. That's pretty cool.
All right. How about you, JD?
I read this first time fall 2004 when I started getting back into comics, and I was hanging out on the Batman on Film message board, and this was one that got a lot of people talking. It was like, "Oh, long Halloween," and I was reading when it. No, I think I wasn't reading when it came out. I must have just missed it. So I picked it up. I think it was at Borders back when that was a thing. It's been part of my collection ever since.
Cool. I found it a little later than you. It's probably 2007 would be my guess. Obviously, everyone loved Batman Begins, and we heard they were making The Dark Knight with the Joker and Two-Face, and the rumor going around was, and this has been confirmed since then, that Nolan had told people to read The Killing Joke and The Long Halloween to get an idea of the theme of the story, talking about Jane Foster earlier and not adapting things directly, but taking themes and ideas from books. So I read it, and it's like, yes, I agree with John. It's probably one of the best comics that I've ever read, and yeah, it's you can definitely see where they got a lot of the ideas for the Dark Knight from this book. Like, it's not an accident. Of course, the big one is I believe in Harvey Dent. It's said quite a few times in the comic, and it was part of the promotional material for the Dark Knight. And yeah, so let's let's start with we all like the book. So what's one of your favorite aspects of the book, JD?
That the actual holiday killer is basically a MacGuffin. This is nothing more than Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb having an excuse to write 12 Batman stories with different villains. I mean, it's true. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it, too. It's like Citizen Kane, like Rosebud is a MacGuffin. It's nothing more than a story vehicle to get you into the life of Charles Foster Kane. And this in a very similar way. Like, yes, you're looking for the holiday killer, but at the same time, you're getting your year two. Like, this pretty much supplemented Batman year two in like continuity aspects. So really, you're getting kind of the first, kind of the second in continuity look, and the second in continuity appearance of most of these characters, right? And you're getting a different version. You're getting Tim Sale, who I think is probably one of the most expressionistic artists of the 1990s. A legend in his own right. You're getting like definitive looks at these characters, like generational looks at these characters. I love that about it. Chilling.
How about you, John?
The thing I really like about this is that it is a contiguous story for all 12. We said it was 12 issues initially. Yeah, I mean, it is like really well done. All the characterizations fit. Like, there's no minor, like every character in here has a part to play, and all their motivations are pretty clear. Everything fits the way you feel it should. And it's real. And the plot is quite intricate, even given what you were saying, that it's in the end, the calendar person is a MacGuffin. It's still like there's still kind of a twist at the end, which I really appreciated, and it makes it all the more interesting in that, even Batman can get it wrong sometimes. If you don't mind, like there's this idea of the long defeat in the Tolkien books, and it's basically the idea that good will never triumph over evil, because evil will always rise again. And the battle between the two is what Tolkien framed as the long defeat, which is basically, in the end, it's a war of attrition. And that's what this feels like, because in the beginning, you start with the standard crime families, and all the way through the books, you see the rise of the psychopaths, the rogues gallery, to the point where in the end they're all that's left. So and you lose people. Batman loses friends along the way, and yet he's still going to fight, because it's the long defeat. Good still has to fight the entire time, even in the end, even though in the end it may not win.
Evil will always triumph over good because good is dumb.
Stupid.
Good is stupid. Yeah.
It's dumb. Yes. Oh man.
Because there's not enough good.
Wow. That is probably the most poignant thing you've ever said on this show, John.
I agree. And I couldn't wait to make a joke about it. Couldn't control myself.
I would expect nothing less from you.
Thank you.
So
well said, though. Well said.
I think the first thing that struck me about this book, and it's one of the things I look for in comics, and you know, I think everyone should. It's Tim Sale is such an amazing artist in his own right because, like, it's why I like Todd McFarlane. It's stylized art. It's not just trying to make it look realistic and copy the next guy or the guy before you. This is like, no, I'm going to make it my own thing, right?
Impressionistic, yeah.
Yeah, every character is recognizable as the characters, but it's definitely his own style and it shines through. And it's like, yes, like that, it works perfectly. And what John said too, the whole escalation aspect of it, you know, it starts off with the traditional crime family. By the time you get to the end, you're at Batman's Rogues Gallery, and it's like
it's that generational changeover,
right?
Like it's when Batman, it's really well represented in the comics when it used to be Batman versus gangster, and then all of a sudden it was the Dick Sprang era where everybody had a gimmick, and this contemporizes that and makes it make story sense.
And the other thing is, how many times have you read a story about any character? Doesn't matter if it's Batman, Spider-Man, Superman, whoever, and they try to do a long story like this, and they throw in villains of that character just because they want to use them, and they don't serve the story, and sometimes the villain's out of character, right? Like you don't feel like there's so many villains in this, and I don't think you feel that any of them are out of place in this.
No, they all fit.
Yeah,
they're all in character. Even characters that are trickier, right? Like Riddler and Poison Ivy. You know, like
yes,
they feel right. Might be the best Batman story ever written.
Might be. It's close.
And I mean, I don't. If you told me it was, I wouldn't argue with you. But off the top of my head, I can't think of one better off the top of my head.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's a statement in general, you know.
And I like the detective stories for Batman, you know, and it's a detective story that does keep you guessing to the end. Again, yes, the Holiday Killer is a MacGuffin, but it does turn out to be someone in the end that you don't see coming. You know, and it's like, and I don't know if we want to spoil a
25-year-old story. Spoil away.
So spoilers. Well, let's just say 25-year-old spoilers because they're really spoiled. It's just
Gilda, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Harvey Dent's wife ends up being the Holiday Killer at the end, which you don't see coming. You know, and her motivation. You know, I don't know if that's. I'm not so sure about her motivation, but
she's crazy. She's crazier than a lot of the actual Rogues Gallery.
Well, I mean, the idea is that if the Falcones are out of the way, then Harvey won't be working as late, and he'll be home to start a family.
It's very TV movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love that Gilda's the Holiday Killer, but at the same time, I maintain that it isn't important. The important thing is Batman and the establishment of Batman's world and Harvey Dent. That's what's important. So, I mean, like, I almost think the Holiday Killer stuff is a little throwaway, to be honest with you, much like Rosebud is a Sled.
I check me on this. I don't know. I actually don't think it's throwaway. I think, like, it's the entire point that, like, maybe it's a third plot, but the thing is that in the end, it's showing you that, you know, between organized crime and caricatures of humanity, these psychopaths, the Rogues Gallery,
organized crime, if you will.
Yeah. Between all of those, the regular people can still be completely and absolutely nuts. Like you never know when somebody's going to snap.
Right. I think that this too is it's the whole idea of Batman's presence has made everything worse to the point where regular people are now prone to falling into this.
Well, she didn't fall because of that. She fell because they were fighting the regular crime,
right?
Nobody that was keeping them busy,
but nobody does. But again, that's the idea. Is it's Batman. Batman is around, so everything doesn't get better. It gets worse. Because that's the whole thing. It's like none of these costume criminals would be here if there wasn't Batman.
I think maybe she said something about that at the end.
She does, but I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So it would be he's the reason that she started doing that was because there's this thing going around of all these weird costumed criminals. But that's the thing. In the end, Batman, again, this goes back to the long defeat where Batman can do whatever he can with all of the most visible bad guys. You're still going to have regular humanity just snapping every once in a while, unbeknownst to you on the side somewhere, and where you'll never see it. And between Batman and the Riddler, neither one of them figured it out.
Isn't this is so? See, this is what makes good fiction, good stories, is that you guys both have valid points, but totally different views on the same story, and you both like it, and it's a beautiful thing. So here's a question, right? So obviously we gave away the spoiler of who the Holiday Killer is. That's another thing that goes throughout this book is they kind of try to keep throwing red herrings at you. Oh, it could be Catwoman. Oh, it could be Harvey. Oh, it could be,
Marconi himself. Or his sister.
And it's tough, right? Because I don't think any of us saw the very end of it coming.
No, and I think that's part of the problem too with the story. Like, I think if the story does have one flaw, it's that I don't think. I mean, a good mystery is one that even if you don't get it, you should see the pieces. And I don't think you see the pieces enough.
Yes,
like it's an unsolvable mystery.
That's what I was going to get at. Like, they threw these red herrings at us, but did anyone figure it out before we got to the end? And I don't think. Yeah, there's not.
But wait, isn't that the point though? Like, if there were signs and Batman didn't figure it out, that would be a problem. But there were the only signs that she gave were to her husband Harvey, who was already crazy and basically he's not picking up on that because he's too busy working on the organized crime stuff, and it's not registering with him. So like. It makes more sense this way that she turns out to be the criminal. She's somebody completely out of Batman's orbit.
He is, but that's like, and again, I don't think it makes Batman less of a detective. I think Batman can miss it, but I think the fact that we don't even see enough of the clues is they did it just for the reveal, and they intentionally, like when you're doing a story and you're leaving the cards off the table just for that swerve moment, I do think that's a little cheap. And I do think that's why the reveal of the Holiday Killer is not what people remember about this story.
Right.
Like, you remember I Believe in Harvey Dent. You remember, like, there's a reason why this part of the story didn't get translated and why, Maggie Gyllenhaal's character is not a murderer in The Dark Knight. Because it's the most forgettable part. Because, like I said, the Holiday Killer thing is just the MacGuffin, and it is an unsolved, much like Rosebud. Right, like we don't know. The only way we know Rosebud's a sled is because we see it burning in the fireplace.
But again, in the end, that is the sign that this war that Batman has is going to never end. Is because
the sign is Joker telling him that when there's 100 costume villains sitting there, and they literally lay it out. Like, Jeff Loeb's good, but subtleties really aren't. They say, this is what it is now.
So. Reading the story the second time and knowing the ending, I kind of wonder if the fact that they used the nipple for a baby bottle as the silencer is supposed to be the hint that it's Gilda the whole time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because she keeps talking about wanting to have a family with Harvey.
Yeah. And that's stupid. It's stupid. I mean, like the whole nipple on the baby bottle, the whole nipple silencer thing was it's silly. Like, I don't know, like everything about as much as I do love the story, I will say the actual mystery surrounding it are the weakest parts.
Right. I mean, and Calendar Man tells you up front that it's a woman.
Yes.
But Batman isn't ready to believe it, so he keeps going back and forth between he and she when they're talking. And I think that's the whole thing. Is I think there are hints, but they're not strong enough to really put it together.
There are, like I'm saying, they're there because Jeff Loeb. It's not like this was like a last minute decision on him. He knew who the killer was the whole time, but they don't give the reader enough pieces to solve the mystery.
Right.
They're not interested. He's not interested in that.
Well, yeah, but that still makes the end more impactful because just like Batman, you were clueless until all of a sudden you realize that it's somebody you could never have thought of.
And I will say and they will tell you when you're writing a detective story, that's not a good ending. That's not typically considered like what you want. Like you don't want someone to go, whoa, I never saw it coming. And it's like, no, you're not looking for that. You're looking for an actual detective story. Is you want to put the story together.
In a normal detective story, definitely. But when the point of the story is to show the pointlessness, well, not pointlessness, the grueling grind of what Batman is up against, then that makes this ending like.
But that's what I say. It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't. You just said it doesn't matter.
Well,
right?
No. It's his war on crime that basically almost doesn't matter. I mean, somebody has to do it, but in the end, it's never going to end, and it's never going to end because people who he doesn't even have any clue exist are going to be doing crap like this, and I don't are going to rise. And
I don't argue with you, but that does spit in the face of Batman being this great detective. And again, you could give a million reasons for it, but again, the simple fact of the matter is the clues are not laid out enough for us to solve it. So therefore, it is not really a detective story. It is a Batman story, and it's good. It's really well written. And again, the killer, Holiday Killer, is just a vehicle for us to explore Gotham City. It's just a vehicle for Tim Sale to draw everything.
I don't know. I see it more as like the whole point of the story, I guess. I don't know. It feels like that's the message of this story is that it can serve more than one purpose, right?
Yeah, the futility of Batman's quest, the futility of Batman's war, all of that is there. And in doing that, he gives us an unsolvable mystery, which literally is how you're not supposed to write a detective story. So this is actually sold a lot as a Batman detective story.
But it
really isn't. Like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm not saying that like it makes it bad or it makes it not functional. I'm just saying like I think the ending is a little cheap because literally the reader can't solve it because Batman can't solve it.
But that was the point. He can't solve it. He can't solve
I get it. I understand that that's the point. But that in and of itself makes me feel like that it's just a MacGuffin and it doesn't matter. And it doesn't because literally Jeff Loeb cares far more about examining Gotham and the transition between the organized crime and the disorganized crime. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. It's just a thing that's there. Dave.
No, I'm enjoying this back and forth. And I'm also thinking about, and it's a weird comparison, but The Sixth Sense, right? Because it's praised as one of these biggest twist movies of all time, and yet M. Night Shyamalan, if you watch the behind the scenes, he talks about all the hints he gives you throughout the whole movie, but like they're not hints the average person's going to see.
No. My wife figured it out in like 5 minutes, and she had no idea. She's like, "Oh, he's dead," and I just sat and I was threw my hands up in the air. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You can't take anything." No, they paint everything red. They use more visual tricks,
right?
Tell you what it is. So yeah, no, it's the same thing. But that's he built his brand. Again, he did himself no favors by this. Shyamalan built his brand on these stunning twists. And then he got to the point in his career where he worked himself into circles trying to out-twist himself.
Right. And this isn't... and it's a stunning twist at the end of this book, but it's also not like the next story that Jeff Loeb wrote. He didn't try to outdo that thing, And,
we can talk about that in a second, actually. There is a follow-up to this.
There is?
Dark Victory.
Oh, yeah. That's a follow-up to Long Halloween?
That is the direct sequel to the Long Halloween.
Okay.
Happens. Maybe that's what we do next week.
I was about to say, I've never read that one.
It's not as good, quite frankly.
Okay, all right,
but it's pretty good. It's them doing their Batman Year 3, where you meet Robin.
Oh, and it's still Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale.
Tim Sale, yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
Do you ever see the parallels between this and Hush?
Not really.
Yeah.
You could draw parallels because Hush was using all the other Rogues Gallery to.
But it's the same writer. It's Jeff Loeb.
Yeah. So
Like,
what is he just recycling?
Kind of. Because it's kind of the same thing as Who is Hush, right? When we first start Hush, I mean, like, granted, there's more of a detective story in Hush because they introduce you to Hush. It's almost too easy to solve, right? The guy they introduce you to in the first issue of Hush is clearly Hush, but they throw you a really nice curveball halfway through.
Yeah.
It would have been better.
And at the end, did anyone care about that character?
Who the killer is?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Riddler at the end of Hush.
Right. No, well, I meant, but not that aspect of it. The character Hush himself, like.
Oh yeah, no. The Hush is the coolest thing. The coolest thing about Hush is that he could have been Jason Todd, and he should have been Jason.
Yes.
Todd. I think Loeb outsmarted himself trying to throw too many curveballs at people, and like I think the DC universe is a better place if Jason Todd is the broken Robin, the one who's Batman, literally is Batman's greatest failure, not just DC's knockoff lame ass Punisher. Jason's a stronger character. There's people that'll fight me in the street for saying that, but there are. I mean, there's people that love Jason Todd Red Hood. I just think Jason Todd functions better as a villain, as a reminder of like we talked about, of the futility of Batman's war,
right,
and the consequences of dragging children into this. Like Jason Todd's far more interesting as he's evil.
Because you've already got Bat Family that's like Punisher, like Azrael, right? Or like
I mean, like at this point, Jason Todd as the Red Hood's had way more impact than Azrael did, even though he was Batman for a year. You know.
Yeah,
you've got a decade plus of Jason Todd as the Red Hood stories,
right? But you've got Bat Family that will do worse things than Batman ever would. Yeah, you've got that base covered. So you're right. I think Jason Todd would have been better as his a real failure instead of like just
Yeah, I think that's and again it's a marketing decision because it's better to make Jason Todd the cool bad boy of the Batman family rather than what he could be.
Yeah. No, and that's.
But yeah, it's neither here nor there. It's nothing to do with the Long Halloween. But I just meant there's a lot of parallels, I think, between Hush and the Long Halloween. Again, the Hush mystery is just once again, it's Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee getting to draw the entire DC universe.
Yeah, no, you're right. But that actually brings up a good point. Around the time that I read it, Jeff Loeb was on a podcast talking about, and one of the things he talked about was this book. And we've talked about this before, where this was a prestige format, so it was outside of the continuity, where Hush is in continuity. And so in 1996 he was saying, I think this is the future of comics. Let's just write stories. They don't have to be connected. We put them out. Let's say we put out 2 a year. Maybe we'll put out 3 a year. Maybe a year will go by where we only put out 1 story. But let's not worry about trying to get a book out every month. Let's just concentrate on writing good stories. And of course, we know that didn't happen at that time.
And they're still talking about it now.
And they're still talking about it 25 years later.
He's right, though. But at the time, the lifeblood of the comic book industry was the shops. Right. And realistically speaking, what was the age of the average fan in 1996 compared to the average between in 2020? And then you realize that average fan is the same person.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll maintain that when comics were treated to the safety of the comic book shop and started directing their entire line towards serving that audience, we created this insular little nook that's almost impenetrable for new fans to come into. And I think he's spot on. I'll maintain this to the day I die. They're spot on 100% right. And it seems like now with DC specifically, their new hires, that seems to be the way they're going to be trending, is more toward digital and more toward prestige. Well, yeah, like bookstore stuff and less about, your Wednesdays thing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because those are the stories everybody remembers in the last 20. Here's the dirty secret. after the fall, like after the boom, you get a great era of writing, especially from DC.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get this Starman, the old JSA books. Like before comics started getting like popular again in like 05, 06, like you really get golden ages from both Marvel and DC because the only way to get people back is to produce quality. That's what was working then, more so than big crossovers.
Right, and then we got big crossovers.
And
hey man, you're
crossovers.
The one who loves Civil War. That brought that whole thing back.
Yeah.
This is a great book. Great character study.
Yeah.
So here's a question. It's something I thought about when I opened it up again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think we've ever asked this question. Batman, long ears or short ears?
That is a great controversial topic.
Well, JD, what's your hot take?
I like long ears on my Batman.
Yeah? All right.
I think it's the age. Like I got to be a fan in the early 90s. Like Kelly Jones was out there making those things 10 feet tall.
John?
I'm not getting into that.
No. You got to pick.
I like nice mid-sized ears. Thank you very much.
Not too tall, not too short. Just somewhere in the... No. Come on. You can't.
John likes functional ears. It's not the size of the ears, it's the motion of the head when the ears are moving.
It's the amount of electronics they've packed into them for listening devices and antennas.
That motion of the ocean. For real though, what do you like? Short ears, tall ears?
I have to say that I do kind of like the tall ears, the look, but thinking about it practically and from a functional standpoint,
he'd be flopping all over the place. Come on, he'd look like a bunny rabbit.
Also, if he's got to slide under under something, and they get caught, and the mask flips off.
We talking about the functionality of Batman? Like nothing about that is functional. He's got a cape.
I know the cape alone.
Oh my God, that's my favorite. That's my favorite micro part in this entire book.
Oh, where it got caught in the prop?
Where it got caught in the blade of the plane that Joker was flying, and he had to rip off the cape.
And and anybody born in the last 20 years, all they could hear in their head was "no capes."
No capes. Yep. Honestly, the first time I saw, I think I might have saw Incredibles. I think those came out the same year that I read The Long Halloween. I wanted to think, yeah, she's right. The first time I read that.
Oh, Edna.
But yeah, we can't function like Batman. But you're right. When you watch Batman and Robin, aside from being terrible, when he's running, his ears are bouncing.
Yes.
Terrible movie. But I do, for a visual, I think Batman with the long ears looks good.
I heard that they're doing a Batverse, and they're going to bring back Clooney and Kilmer.
Aren't they already doing that with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck?
Yeah, I'm saying they're bringing them all back.
Might as well. That's what we do now.
Yes.
We just bring back anyone who's ever played anyone. They're going to get a Ouija board and get the ghost of Adam West in.
I was going to say Adam West. Yeah. They'll exhume his corpse.
Anyway, all right. So I think we've done it. I mean, unless there's anything else you want to add about this story.
I am a Tim Sale fan now. I like the artwork a lot. But yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
They have Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb have a long track record together of some really good books. Superman for All Seasons.
Yes.
Hulk Gray, Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow.
That's right. I forgot I forgot they did those books.
Yeah. I think they got started on the Hulk one. I forget what their first work together was. They have another, I can't remember what it's called. There's a collection of Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb, like Halloween stories that came out just before this, and the title of it just slips my mind. But they're just like 3 like Halloween themed Batman stories, and they're all really good too.
Huh. Interesting. Halloween theme. We have to keep that in mind. All right. So
I got to get a freaking title.
Let's while JD's looking that up, John, why don't we go around the room and give our final thoughts on the book?
I gave you my final thoughts. I think it's one of the best I've ever read.
Highly recommend.
Yes, yeah. This is going in my special library in my room. where if I want to pull it and read it again, I'm going to put it next to Justice League Dark.
Doing things in your room that you want to pull. We don't want to go there. It's a family show.
We didn't go there. You did. Thanks, Dave.
Batman Haunted Night.
Haunted Night.
That sounds interesting.
It's a 3 issue. It's 3 issues. They're 3 individual stories. I have this one too. They're good. They're just like little one-offs. The ones there's a Joker story, a Scarecrow story, and a Mad Hatter story.
All right, JD.
This is quite possibly the best Batman story ever created. If you tell me it definitely is, I won't argue with you. I really like it. I think it's, as time has gone on, it's become one of the most influential. Its impact on the Dark Knight helps set Batman as a character for another generation of fans who discovered it outside the comics medium. Things like I Believe in Harvey Dent, the bat signal scene with him, Gordon, and Dent meeting around. That's right out of this book. It's classic, man. I mean, we throw this one around. Oh, that story's classic, but this is from this era, from the post-boom era of DC Comics. This might be their best book, period, between this and Starman. Because you get that golden era of the 1980s when everything DC was putting out was just incredible. And then after the boom dies out, there's not a lot, but stuff starts getting a lot better. And this is part of the reason why. Kingdom Come's up there too.
Yeah. I agree with both of you. I think some people might argue that I know a lot of people who swear by The Dark Knight Returns as the best Batman book.
Overrated. Yeah, I don't love The Dark Knight Returns at all.
Okay then.
We should do a review of that show someday.
Oh, we will. So yeah, I mean, I think if you haven't read this, what's wrong with you? Go read it. And our revealing the twist at the end does not ruin the story because it's a really good story, period.
It doesn't have any impact on the story whatsoever.
Well, that's true. It doesn't have any real impact on the outcome of the story. So
depends. I think it does, but that's okay. Well, I mean, either way, we both recommend it as much as strenuously. So
yes. So if you like McMuffins,
oh, I love my McMuffins, man.
Yeah, it definitely will impact you in some way. So yeah, it's definitely 3 high recommends from all of us. All right, now let's wrap up this week with recommendations. JD, you have any recommendations for our audience?
I got to guest on a podcast, on a major wrestling podcast actually called Fight Game Media, and we did an all Japan pro wrestling roundtable. That was pretty cool. If you like wrestling and want to check out something, I recommend Fight Game Media podcast. It's pretty cool stuff. And what am I reading right now? I'm reading If It Bleeds by Stephen King. It's a collection of short stories. It's pretty good. I don't love it so far, but it's pretty good.
Cool. John?
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm rereading David Eddings' The Belgariad and the Malorian, and they're probably it's probably one of the best fantasy stories of all time, and I would place it up against Tolkien anytime. So if you want a good read, something that's really easy and you can get through, it'll take you a while because there's 3, 6, 9, 12 books in all. But I would go with David Eddings' The Belgariad and the Malorian. You will not be disappointed. And on the anime side, like I mentioned before, Inuyasha has been around for a very, very long time. And I've only just started getting to it because it's on Netflix. And it's the writing on it holds up. So the animation's old. It's over 20 years old. And I can't believe how good it is. So that would be something, if you're into anime at all, I would very, very strenuously suggest that you watch that one. Like that one and Cowboy Bebop and a few others. I think Inuyasha is like one of the classics.
Cool. All right. I will recommend, as always, to make sure you check out superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week. Comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. And all right, so I got 2 recommendations. The first one, I understand, ladies and gentlemen, if you're scared to go out to the polls in person and vote, You're going to get your absentee vote ballot, fill it out, and send it.
That's what I did.
I highly recommend. This is true story. Do not wipe down your ballot with disinfectant before you fill it out.
Did you wipe down your ballot with disinfectant and smear everything?
No, but so far 100 ballots had to be destroyed in California because they were unreadable because people wiped them down with disinfectant.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We got to get over this idea that people are going to get this virus by touching paper. That doesn't have
paper that's been mailed to them, which is, like the virus doesn't last that long on paper as it is. But if it's been in the mail for like more than 24 hours, there's no way.
So if you want,
don't eat the paper. How about that?
Don't lick it. Well, you have to lick them.
But don't eat your vote. Come on, man. Oh, geez.
They actually said on the news that all the ballots have been stuffed into the envelopes by machine, so they weren't even touched by people before they went out. Other than your mail carrier touched the exterior envelope, but not what was on the inside. So
I will add to Dave's recommendation. Depending on what you state you're in, find the directions for your mail-in ballot.
Yes,
and
that's
follow them closely. Because in Pennsylvania, it has to
be in the privacy envelope.
Yeah, if you put it in a privacy envelope, and then put the privacy envelope in the other envelope, and then you have to sign the thing. And I cannot stress this enough. Once you send your ballot in or hand it in, check your county or state should have some kind of website where you can check on the status of your ballot. There is a lot of chicanery going on right now, and they are going to challenge every ballot. And with mail-in ballots, the problem is the signature. People's signatures does not say the same for your entire life or even from one year to the next. So check your websites, make sure your ballot gets counted. And if it doesn't, then contest it. Just because you didn't sign your name with an O the same way you did 3 years ago when you signed the paper at the DMV doesn't mean that your ballot shouldn't get counted. So
I'm going to the county courthouse. I'm going to throw my mask on and vote early. I live in a small town.
You're lucky you can go and vote. If they had vote early in person here, I would do it. But this is Pennsylvania, so we can get mail-in ballots without a reason.
Well, anyway, this is why I'm going to just go vote in person, because that way I know that I voted. I know it'll get counted.
Yep, I think that's a smart way to go.
So, and then my actual real recommendation, I just discovered a very cool channel on YouTube. Joey DiCarlo from So Wizard recommended Ska-Tune Network. It's an individual. He creates punk ska versions of songs, and the majority of the ones that he's done so far are themes from Cartoon Network.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Yes.
Send the link, man. I want to see that.
And so yes, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend if you want something different to check this guy out. So on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape caught in the door. Have a good week.